Classic WoW's intricate story and world building are always worth exploring, and I find it fascinating to unpack the smaller themes and lore elements that are introduced in less obvious ways. Within the human kingdom of Stormwind, most players are familiar with the major stories like the Defias Brotherhood, the Darkening of Duskwood, or the Fall of Stonewatch, but the eastern reaches of Azeroth, that is, the region of Azeroth, have an entirely different feel. Untamed trails, lost caravans, and entirely new threats lurk here, designed for higher-level players as they navigate less forgiving environments. The Swamp of Sorrows is a focal point for this inhospitable nature, and through the story points that take place here, one can truly come to understand the state of the Eastern Road and the dangers of traveling along it. Today, I want to examine the Lost Alliance expeditions into the Swamp of Sorrows, going over the quests and their broader implications for the kingdom. As always, thank you for the fun comments and support, and with all that being said, let's get right into it. Our journey today begins in Darkshire, where level 40 Alliance players are likely to run into Watchmaster Soragal near a wagon in the center of town. His request? Bring a crate of unstable power stones along the eastern road to Netherguard Keep in the Blasted Lands. They decay too quickly to be shipped with the next major caravan, so this rush delivery ensures they will remain viable for the mages researching the dark portal there. This is a sizable distance to cover, and you'll need to travel through Deadwind Pass, the Swamp of Sorrows, and a portion of the Blasted Lands to get there, all zones either at or above your current level. As a side note, this quest has an optional breadcrumb step given by High Sorcerer Andromath in Stormwind, but we'll come back to the Mage Quarter later. Heading east from Duskwood, the abandoned tower at Beggar's Haunt is unsettling, and is now occupied by a few of the undead Forsaken, new allies of the Horde. Gray, dead canyons, along with the eerie sign declaring, "Abandon hope, all ye who enter here," give you your first glimpse of Deadwind Pass. Terrifying sky shadows deter any exploration off the road, but luckily the road itself is abandoned. A desolate walk through a cursed land that we don't really interact with much in Classic. Very observant players might even notice a small horde camp peeking out from the jagged cliffs above, but it is much easier to spot once you fly through here on a flight path. The Swamp of Sorrows is the true test of mettle on our delivery, with the landscape sloping downward into the humid bog teeming with spiders, crocolisks, and swamp jaguars. Not only that, but orcish scouts are patrolling segments of the road now, and have established a watchtower not far into the zone, creating an obstacle for caravans, and now you, on your way to Netherguard. You might run into Watcher Biggs stranded here along the southern road, the sole survivor of a highway attack by the Lost Ones, but we'll come back to his story in a minute. The rugged horde town of Stonard is also visible as you head south, and you'll definitely want to steer clear of the hardy explorers and guards that keep watch in the swamp. Within the final zone, Netherguard Keep is settled into the eastern mountains, the first line of defense and research regarding the ominous dark portal. Quartermaster Lungertz is appreciative of the delivery, and it will not be the last time you talk with him regarding supplies. With the time-sensitive quest now completed, you might return to the swamp and revisit Watcher Biggs, who was a part of the crew protecting the last major expedition through here. "My caravan was destined for the eastern coast, but we did not reach our goal. Lost Ones attacked us, killing guards and dashing supplies. I alone survived their assault. I have sworn to protect what supplies remain, but wild creatures skulk near." There is a bit more to unpack here, but let's see the quest line through to completion first. After thinning some of the dangerous swamp animals, Biggs tells you a bit more about his situation, explaining that his caravan was delivering supplies to Netherguard when it was attacked. "I spied one of our wagons being dragged to the Fallow Sanctuary, the Lost One village to the north. A caravan chest with valuable reagents was in that wagon, reagents vital to the studies of the wizards of Netherguard Keep. Find the chest and get those reagents." To the northeast, the road fades away at the Fallow Sanctuary, a muck-ridden settlement occupied by Lost Ones, fallen Draenei who came through the dark portal, becoming withered and corrupted by unstable energy. They are fiercely defensive of their territory, but you eventually discover the abandoned wagon near the back of the gauntlet. Biggs also requests some pieces of driftwood from the eastern coast as a means of patching up his wagon, but he also has one more task for you. While I fix this wagon, I have one last task for you. I have packed the most vital supplies saved from the ogre attacks. Take them to Netherguard Keep. You might have picked up on a few inconsistencies in Biggs's story. The caravan was attacked by lost ones, not ogres, which calls into question whether this is just a simple writing mistake, or if perhaps there was supposed to be an ogre mound somewhere in the Swamp of Sorrows during early development. This could also be referencing the ogres from the Vice in Deadwind Pass, but there isn't any other evidence to support a connection. Biggs also states that his original destination was the eastern coastline, not Netherguard Keep. Maybe this was supposed to be a larger expedition with multiple stops? It's hard to say, but the sunken boat off the eastern shore now crawling with murlocs means whoever they may have been trading with, pirates or another faction, didn't make it to the rendezvous either. Either way, the final piece of info we learn upon turning the supplies in is that we were carrying Azoran crystals, a rare reagent much needed by the wizards. There's nothing else known about these items, and it's likely one of many supplies requested by the research team. Let's briefly return to the Fallow Sanctuary. While you are out recovering the supplies from the stolen wagon, you might also run into Galen Goodward, who was captured by the Lost Ones and needs your help to escape. In typical classic WoW fashion, he manages to wander through every camp of enemies during the escort quest, but if you help him out, he'll tell you how to open his unique strongbox. His ruined camp is located not far away, and it is here where you can pick up the Visionary Buckler Shield as a reward. It seems Galen has no intention of coming back, and we don't know why he was out here in the first place. Was the buckler a family heirloom? A treasure he picked up while exploring here? We don't know, but regardless, it's an odd one-off quest that, even with theorizing, we can't say much for sure. There are 2 more Alliance quests that lead into the Swamp of Sorrows and explicitly deal with some type of delivery or expedition. Back at the Mage Quarter in Stormwind, Mazin Mac Nadir has lost a very important set of papers, Khadgar's essays on dimensional convergence. This is one of only a few direct references to the Warcraft 2 heroes in Classic, and with it being so out of the way, it's a great reward for players exploring the city and looking for more to do. The essays were lost near the entrance to the swamp, near the misty valley where bog beasts can be found. Once recovered, delivering them to Watcher Mahar Ba in the Blasted Lands gives us one more little nugget of lore.
Ah, most splendid. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to begin my research at once. To finally glimpse the insight of one as great as Khadgar excites me to no end.
Yet another example of how this military garrison, sitting just inside this apocalyptic land, is also rather academic, with many wizards stationed here to monitor and investigate the connection between Azeroth and what lies beyond. As you've traveled through the northern reaches of the swamp, you may have also picked up a scattered crate containing some lost supplies. Bringing them to the quartermaster rewards you with a nice box of items, and he even says the following.
Ah, thank you. So many supplies are lost from Darkshire to here. It's good to see that some are recovered.
The scattered crate objects are dispersed throughout the zone, and you can even pick up a multiple to complete the quest several times, though you won't get any extra XP for repeat turn-ins. These details just really go to show how treacherous of a journey this is for Alliance travelers heading to Netherguard, which brings me to my thesis for today's video, the overall theme of abandonment of this eastern highway by Stormwind. We've heard time and time again that the way is dangerous, caravans are often attacked, and yet there is nothing done by the Alliance to fortify defenses here. A part of this danger could be the lingering effects of the First and Second Wars for sure, but in the nearly 20 years since war has affected this part of Azeroth, there doesn't seem to be any progress being made, and in fact, it seems like Stormwind is letting things slip even further from their control. A watchtower overrun, scouts eavesdropping on the doorstep, and now an entire horde expedition setting up shop just beyond the fringes of civilization, adding another obstacle to human supply lines. One of the major ideas the human storyline establishes is the purposeful and malicious withdrawal of troops from the human lands, and I think it's really interesting to consider how this has affected the more remote parts of the region. Year after year, the fort at Netherguard is becoming more disconnected, with only a handful of watchers dispatched to facilitate caravans from Darkshire, many of them doomed to fail. Meanwhile, the Horde is facing a challenging new environment, yet the orcs have demonstrated their capability and willingness to map the terrain and claim land for their war chief. It's a dichotomy that shows the abject failure of Stormwind as corruption spreads within it, inviting others to take control of this eastern road, weakening the kingdom even further. Many players might discount the Swamp of Sorrows for its overall lack of quests and remote location, but when viewed through this particular lens, I think it's an underrated sidebar that extends some of the themes and lore of both factions in an interesting way. And hey, I didn't even bring up the Sunken Temple, which adds a whole new dimension to the zone, but that's a story for perhaps another time. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this look at the many lost and overlooked journeys into the Swamp of Sorrows, and maybe next time you're questing through here, you'll think about it in a whole new way. A special thank you to my new channel members who provide bonus support for these videos, and until next time, may the Force be with you.